Yep, I want to start it. Why isn't it going? All right, so I think it may be working. Hey, let me know in the comments down below if you can, in fact, see this, because I'm getting a bunch of errors on my end. But yeah, I don't know if it's actually working or not. So do me a favor, leave a comment. I'm gonna check my phone here at the same time. Okay, perfect. I'm hearing that the ads are playing, so hopefully that will be skippable in about 5 seconds, and you guys will be in here. It's Baby Breckner. What is going on? Says it's working. That's what I like to hear. How's the quality, man? Is it actually doable, or is it skipping around a lot? Give me a heads up on that if you would. Looks like it's working. Give me 1 second. All right, boom. Looks like it's working. It's telling me it's not working. So if for some reason this starts to go out, whatever, I appreciate you guys being here and sticking with me through it, because we're trying something new today. We're trying something new, and that's why I'm concerned it's not working, because my internet out here in the sticks is mediocre. So I literally, just a little background, I rigged like 3 hotspots together that I kind of borrowed in to do these live streams like I'm doing. It's long story short, it took me like a freaking long time to figure out. So that's that. So anyway, awesome, sounds good. Hey, welcome, Dean. Thanks for being here. All right, guys, before I get distracted any further, because I got to bring him on, because he's sitting here waiting. I can see him, but you yet can't. I've got, as you can all probably tell from the title, Dirt ObseXXion in the house. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. This is going to be an awesome live stream. First time bringing someone in, super pumped. Hopefully it works. Can you guys see? Oh, I cut him off the screen. Can you see him? There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Dirt ObseXXion, brother, welcome. Coming to you live from Kentucky for him, from Wisconsin for me. Hopefully this all goes well. Again, please continue to leave comments down below if you start to see any issues, so that way I can try and troubleshoot them on the fly. I'll just turn it over to Dirt ObseXXion and do what I can to fix any issues. So looks like all is going well. Here he is, Dirt ObseXXion. What's up, brother? Go ahead and say hello to everybody.
What is going on, my fellow ATV Inside by Side enthusiasts? Chris, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be super fun, super awesome. I'm psyched about doing the live vid. I'm trying to kind of watch, who's in here at the same time and seeing them roll in. So that's super exciting. I'm glad everybody showed up. I'm glad everybody's excited to chat with us. Going to be a good time.
All right. Oh, I gotta adjust this one over. So again, guys, bear with us as I fumble through this. I try to think that I put enough time and all that into this to make it like technologically work okay, but I'm not, I'm not an IT guy, so there's that. You're pretty good. Echo on your end. Hey, Sticks Racing, echoing on my end or on his end? Do you know? Because I can actually hear him really solid, which makes me concerned that maybe it's me that's the echo. So do me a favor and let me know. I think this mic is on. Testing. Yep, it's this mic. So let me know if it's echoing. Also, I'm trying to. This room is still being worked on, so it's kind of echoey in here to begin with. So, all right. So, welcome. Hey, Dean in the house. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Max. Hey, thanks for being here, man. Yep, you're at my end. Okay. Wow, that's too bad. All right, I'm gonna work on that randomly throughout this. Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it. So when we're kind of chatting back and forth. I will keep working on that and see if I can figure it out. Let me know if it starts to sound better. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking. A good echo on the Wisconsin end. All right, yeah, fair enough. All right, so Dirt ObseXXion, you guys hopefully know him. If not, make sure you go subscribe to his channel. After this, don't leave the video yet. Stick here with us, and then after this, make sure you hit up Dirt ObseXXion and subscribe. We haven't really known each other that well. Probably about 6 months, I want to say. We've kind of been watching each other's videos, and he comes into the lives, and we talk here and there on Instagram, and I comment on his videos, that kind of stuff. We've never actually met in person, but this summer, hopefully, we're going to be doing our first ride together, because that's one thing I absolutely love about this community is the fact that we can, you just meet random people and start riding with them, and he's a funny guy. In fact, I got to say, before we get any further, and then I'll stop. I'll take a break from promoting him, but he's hilarious. If you have not seen his Sportsman versus 1000 Scrambler that he did, or excuse me, Sportsman versus Scrambler video he did, You got to go watch it. It well put together, freaking hilarious. I don't know. I thought it was a great, just a phenomenal, well put together video. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of awesome videos out there in the ATV world and in the moto vlog rolling up. But, you know, a lot of them are just kind of shot, first person, quick camera action type thing. Not a lot of thought put into it, which is fine. They're still great entertainment. But he must have put some serious thought into this, or he's just that funny where he can think stuff like that up on the fly. Go watch it after this. Definitely a good time. So let's talk, since we're on it, Chad, let's go ahead and talk about the fact that you went with the Sportsman 1000.
Yeah, well, I have a confession to make first. I've been following you a lot longer than 6 months. Before we even started Dirt Obsession. We started Dirt Obsession about 8 months ago. The first video I saw of yours was when you were sitting on the couch talking Wildcat XX before it even came out. So I've been around for a long time, man. I've been supporting your vids on my personal channel and much appreciated all the kind words. We definitely love your stuff too. Incredibly well put together. But back to the Sportsman. So, okay, here's the thing. The Scrambler is what I went for. Me and Brian, we loaded up in the truck. We headed out to our freaking local dealership, and I was convinced that I was bringing home the Scrambler. And the Sportsman was sitting right next to it. And I sat on the Sportsman, and I sat on the Scrambler, and I'm getting a little up in years, I suppose. So for me, it was just the Scrambler was more comfortable. And we like to do day rides. We like to do, you know, Hatfield McCoy, where we're out there for 3 or 4 days, putting in 12 hours in the seat at a time. And, you know, for that, I had to go with the comfort, because let me tell you, the Sportsman is freaking fast. I've had that thing pegged out at 82 miles an hour is where the rev limiter kicks in, and it will pull all the way there. So I know that's got to be about the same for the Scrambler. The Scrambler's a little sportier. I would say it's definitely the sport bike version.
Oh,
we good? Am I buffering?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting the same thing on my end. Can you guys lost the feed? I don't know if we're live anymore. Hey, let me know in the comments if you can hear us.
Yeah, they're saying lost it.
Shoot, I just hit a button too, and I don't even know which button I hit. Oh man, no. Okay. Hey, give me 5 seconds. I'm gonna go check the internet. I don't know what just happened. I think it might have just cut halfway off. Hey, can you guys cut the internet for a minute? It's buffering out bad on me.
Hey, they're saying we're back now.
All right, cool. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, gentlemen and ladies. If there's any in here, the internet just totally cut out on me. I just want to reset it, and I think we're back. So I apologize. Just so you know, too, of all the times to have this happen, we're under like a serious ice storm right now, and everything. The signals are kind of. I'm out of breath. Sorry, I ran up like 2 flights of stairs. I got to start working out more. We're under like a serious ice storm, and everything's getting all crazy. So
I got to give some shout outs real quick. I see some friends in here. LC Power Sports, good to have you guys. Dirty Rice Off Road, good to see you, brother. Flying Brian himself is in there. Brian Pierce. Thank you guys all thank everyone for showing up. Moonshine Danny, he's one of the Dirt Obsession boys too. So appreciate you guys coming out and supporting us.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for being here, gentlemen. Same for everybody else. If we missed you, don't take it personal. The comments just kind of start flying, especially when we're looking at multiple screens and all that kind of stuff. So I think you might have nailed most of the ones I see. Oh, Jeff's on here too. Jeff, welcome. Dean, I think I already mentioned you, but welcome back as well. And B. Breckner, these guys are all regulars. Thanks a lot for being here.
Yes, B, what is up, my good friend?
New video coming out about the snow we got. Are you saying you got a video coming out, Breckner? Because I'll make sure to check it out. So let's talk about, okay, no, we'll come back to the winter, because I got a lot to say about snow and winter riding and all that. Let's get back to the Scrambler. So we left off, I don't know exactly where it cut out. You were talking about the reasoning for why you went with the Sportsman over the Scrambler. Go ahead.
Yeah, so So ultimately, I felt like the bikes were very, very similar. Same chassis, same platform. Most of the specs are similar. The Sportsman has like 2 more horsepower because of the exhaust setup, which is null and void because it weighs 80 pounds more. So what I liked about the Scrambler is the analog stuff. You know, the digital stuff can go south and everything. But what I was saying was it's kind of the sport bike version versus the sport cruiser version. You're gonna have fun ripping on either of these bikes. The Scrambler looks cooler. The Sportsman is for the fuddy-duddies like me that need to put 12 hours in the seat and not get chapped.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. And as you guys can see, maybe because the camera I'm using, hopefully it looks like it's coming through right. I have that Scrambler. If you're a regular here, you know that is currently, and I say this without insult to Dirt ObseXXion, the best ATV that I've ever owned in my life. All right, so I'm going to throw that out there. But I will also say that I absolutely love the Polaris Sportsman, and I think you're right. I gotta make sure I'm looking at the right screen when I'm talking, so I see him over here. I think you're right. The Sportsman is definitely, it has some features over the Scrambler, and I totally understand why somebody would buy the Sportsman. And I can't even say for certain. Like I said, that's the favorite machine. That's by far my favorite machine I've ever owned. I can't say that if I were going to go buy a new one tomorrow, that the Sportsman wouldn't be at the top of my list to consider, because it's definitely up there on phenomenal machines, especially if you're looking at like the 1000. There's still so much power with the Sportsman 1000. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just diddling around in the woods and you don't have. God dang it.
Yeah, I'm buffering now.
Same here. It says it's reconnecting. And I think it's back. Hey, all right, I think we're back again. Guys, I'm sorry. I think this ice storm we got going on, because I'm using cell phone Wi-Fi hotspots, and it says that the speed is relatively good, but I think the weather is making it randomly like dip signal and all that and lose it. So I apologize if we go out for 5 seconds. We'll try and recognize it and then stop talking, and hopefully you'll like us enough to suffer through on that end. So yeah, so both are great machines. Again, after this, go check out his video. Or if you get tired of waiting for us to buffer, go check it out now. But I'd love for you to stick around. Also, speaking of which, do us a favor and like this video. It does help boost it in the YouTube comment or in the YouTube feed and all that. So do us a favor, like this video, share it out on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever you use. Just share it out and let people know where we are right now and where you are at. That is always much appreciated. Dirty Rice off-road, lost you guys a few times. Thought it was just because I was driving. Dude, were you driving last time we did this? I really hope that you're being. I feel obligated to say you should not watch YouTube and drive. Like, I don't want to be that guy or the dad in that situation, but I feel like maybe don't do that. Not that I don't want you to be here, man.
I feel obligated to disagree, Dirty Rice. We appreciate being here. It looks like Piston Broke just showed up too, and Piston Broke is working on his Wildcat X. He just painted all the panels with like the bed liner covering. So Piston Broke, one of my favorite channels, he said that I would look like a grizzly bear riding a tricycle if I rode the Scrambler. And then Moonshine Danny told him that I look like a grizzly bear on a tricycle on the Sportsman anyway. So
that just goes to show you how big Dirt ObseXXion is, or I should just chat. I'm just gonna go. I'm trying to make sure I get that name in there too, so you guys recognize where he's from. But that just goes to show you how big he is. Because if you've been on the Sportsman 1000, that is not a tiny machine.
Yeah, 6'1", 285, boys. Let's just put that out there now.
See, that's what's great about video. I'm 5'8", and on the screen right now, we're the same size. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's outstanding. All right, so I mentioned it before. I want to talk about winter because I mentioned we're under like this weird ice storm right now. I want to hear about everybody's winter in the comments and where you've been riding. Hopefully it's been better than ours, because here's how our winter's gone so far. December, it was like 40 degrees. Oddly warm for Wisconsin. January hits, negative 30 degrees. It was negative 30 degrees last week. They canceled school 4 out of 5 days last week because of how cold the state is. So that goes to show you the major shift we had. So it's at 40, and you're like, oh, I want to go ride in the snow, but it hasn't quite hit yet. And then the snow hits, we get dumped with like 22 inches, and then it just turns to sheer cold. And now we are finally at like that 20 degree-ish or so type of weather, and it's raining ice. So needless to say, I've gotten out to ride very little this winter. I have gotten out to ride this winter a couple times, but just not as much as I'd like. And there's a lot of, I don't know about you, Dirt ObseXXion, what is your thoughts on winter riding? Because I know it's warmer where you are. Do you ever actually get the chance to do much snow riding? Riding in the snow, I should say?
So I'm for it. if we got to get out in the snow, we absolutely will. 2 rides ago, we were actually out with a little bit of mud and snow. It was the one that we did where our buddy Brent tried to take the Polaris Ranger up a ridiculously mud-slicked hill, because in Kentucky, when you get snow, the ground's not frozen yet, so it just makes an absolute mess of everything. But I'm one. You know, I've got the cold weather gear. I'm one to get out as opposed to not getting out. So I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's raining. If it's ride day and me and Brian are already set up to go for a rip, I'm going to rip, regardless of how cold it is. But it definitely makes a mess of things out here in Kentucky, because when we get snow, it's not usually after a few days of freeze, so it just tears it all up. But that's kind of our story. It definitely changes the trail conditions. Snow is fun to ride in. On the hills we got out here, it makes everything absolutely treacherous. So you go a little bit slower. You use that active descent control. I know you don't know about that because you got the Scrambler.
Well, in my defense, I know of it. I've just never seen it in real life.
You know of it. Yes, that's right. But yeah, I'm not going to let snow hold me down. I mean, when it gets sub-zero, I would say that's when I probably called it a day, being just a little bit of a sissy. But up and until that point, I'm going to get out and try to rip as much as possible.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm good until like negative. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm good until about 5 degrees. Once it starts to teeter that like single-digit mark to the negatives, then you start to hit that point where you're like, yeah, I could go riding with 80 layers and be uncomfortable, but you know, it's just not the same. So I definitely hear that. I just want to address a couple comments here. Piston broke negative 50 yesterday. Where are you at? And is that with the wind chill? Because I can top it if it's with the wind chill, because it was negative 55 here. But if that's without a wind chill, man, that is some cold freaking weather right there. Looking pretty side by side. Outstanding, outstanding. In a Ranger with a cab. See, that's the way to go in the wintertime. I'm not a big cab guy. Like, I don't know. I like feeling like I'm more open to the elements. But I did get into someone's heated cab last year, and it does change your world in the wintertime. There's no doubt. D. Goody. Yeah.
So I saw a couple of questions in there on the Sportsman. One was the pinion plate. Did I change out the pinion plate? Because a lot of guys, especially with the 2017 models, were switching out for the Seco Radiant or the Seco Racing pinion plate. No. To answer your question, I did not swap out my pinion plate because Polaris swapped those out on the 2018 version. So the one that I got is more resistant to braking. I know they were having an issue in 2017. They fixed that. So no, I did not switch out the pinion plate. I've had no issues, and we like to run hard. And the other question was, are the bearings in Polaris ATVs, have they upgraded them like they did in the side-by-side? Yes, my bearings are the same wheel bearings that are in the Razors.
I didn't know that.
I got that Havoc wheel bearing greaser. Works for my vehicle, works for the 850s, works for the it works for the Razors as well. Brian's going to borrow it, or I'm going to go down there. We're going to do his bearings on his Turbo Dynamics. So same size, the 44 millimeter wheel bearings on the Sportsman, and I'm sure it's the same as a Scrambler too.
Nice. That's outstanding. I didn't know they did that on the wheel bearings. D. Goody, 55 degrees New Hampshire. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Brian, throw Brent out. What did Brent do? I must have missed that one.
Brent is the guy with the Ranger that has the cab. He's the one that tried to get up that hill when we were out in the snow day.
Okay.
That's our buddy Brent. Yeah.
Nice. That's outstanding. Haven't had much snow or cold weather in upstate New York. That's insane because normally, from my understanding, upstate New York is pretty freaking cold. Ontario, Canada, too much snow, 3 feet. Hey, Robert, we were sitting right at about 3 feet until it went to this weird rain, sleet, snow mix, and now it's kind of, that brings it down. But I hear ya. Unfortunately, both of my quads are sitting up in Wisconsin. F6 Racing, where are you now, and why are they sitting in Wisconsin? You want me to go pick them up for you? I'll go pick them up and drive around. I'll keep them warm.
I think Piston Broke's got it worse than all of us. My man's out there in northern Saskatchewan. He's talking about negative 43 Celsius, which I think is right around where Fahrenheit and Celsius meet, somewhere in those negative 40s, with negative 50 wind chill. So, yeah, Piston Broke. Brother, you're dealing with it out there.
Yeah. Good luck.
And he has got 2 brand new beautiful baby girls too that just came out. So congrats, brother. I've told you on Instagram, but congrats again, because that is awesome.
That is awesome. Congrats, man. That's sweet. Trying to keep them warm too, I bet. That's got to be all sorts of swaddling going on there. All right, let's see. Where were we? I was. What else was I? There was something else I specifically want to talk about. Yeah, leave a comment. So, where have you been riding lately? And have you been riding in the snow? Let me know. Let me know where you guys are at. I'm gonna let's throw in there what types of winter season trails do you ride where you are? Is it mostly gravel? Do you have the opportunity to hit the snow? Are you riding snowmobile trails? I know that's legal in Wisconsin. You can ride a lot of the same trails. So, because winter changes everything, right? So personally, I don't like to do quite as technical of riding in the wintertime just because everything's more slippery. You know, it's harder to see what's underneath the snow, right? So I actually really enjoy Wisconsin has, and let me know, Chad, if you guys have these. Wisconsin has some longer trails that might be like 80 to 100 miles long, and they'll bounce from town to town. So it's more of a laid-back trail, but you might be in a small town of like 3,000, and then you drive another 8 miles down the trail. You might be in a town of 500, whatever. So it's basically laid out where it just drives through all these small towns, and it's awesome because it gives you the opportunity to just get out, mess around, enjoy the snow, and then also stop and warm up at a bar or restaurant or whatever you want, take a break, and then get back out on the trail again. Right? Do you guys have those type of trails there in Kentucky?
In Kentucky, we do not. We have we basically have ATV parks. So anybody who's been following us for a while knows that Blue Holler is our home. We are at Blue Holler all the time. We're very fortunate to have some very good ATV parks in close proximity. But what we do have are the Hatfield-McCoy trails about 4 hours east of us. And Hatfield-McCoy, as everybody knows, some of the best riding in the country, where you can absolutely get on the trail, rip, go into town, get some food, get warmed up, and then head back out. And we also have a little bit closer, about 3 hours from us, is the North Cumberland Wildlife Management Area in northern Tennessee. So what that has, it's home to Thackett Creek, it's home to Ride Royal Blue, it's got Brimstone, Windrock, all those are close by in the area, and those are the trails that we can get on and just rip for hours in one direction. So in the local area, not so much, but a few hours drive, and we can get to some really good riding out here. Like my man Flying Brian says, we got about 4 feet of mud. Absolutely. It was when we had that polar vortex hit, and then we had the thaw, and the mud was just unbelievable. But well worth it. We still got out. We still ripped. We had some good times. We saw some people getting stuck. We pulled them out with our mighty Sportsmans and went on our way. So, yeah, we're mostly parks here in Kentucky, but we make do. The parks, fortunately for us, are absolutely gorgeous, very scenic in central Kentucky. We've got the sand caves at Royal Blue. We've got cliffs and hills and any kind of riding you want. So we're pretty fortunate as far as that goes.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one downer that we don't. We have a little bit of in Wisconsin, not at all really in Minnesota, and really I can't really say we even have much in Wisconsin. Is those nice high ridges and higher. It's mostly flat, right? So you definitely don't get that type of rolling hill or high cliff riding, whatever you want to call it, rocky riding. In fact, if you guys saw when I was riding out in Moto Cove, because I was alone in Virginia. I don't do a lot of rock crawling, so it's always a little more of a learning curve for me than anything. So But yeah, I've seen some of your videos, obviously, and obviously others as well. And Kentucky does look like it has some awesome parks to ride. In the comments here, we got Rockin' Roddy checking in from Wisconsin. Hey, welcome. Thanks for being here. Not too far away. That's outstanding. Same trails year round for Moonshine Danny. Moonshine Danny, where are you riding at? These trails are all year round.
He's one of our dirt session boys. Moonshine Danny is local.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Outstanding. Yep. B. Breckner, you got Danbury, Wisconsin is the only place near us. Really? I don't know what part you're in, B. Breckner. I know you're in Minnesota. I don't know exactly where. But I know that there's some good winter trails that are open year-round in Minnesota. Shoot me a message or an email after this so we can kind of talk about a few of them. Danbury is fun. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Quadingus, I see you in here. He says that Chris is a handsome bugger. Yes, unfortunately, he keeps chubby, bearded men for friends.
Maybe you missed the part about the 6'5" versus 5'8". So, you got to you keep someone bigger than you around. It's always ready, so when you smart off, you've got someone to back you, Rockin' Rodney, how far? Yeah, okay, I'll let you guys talk about that. Piston broke. You guys allowed to ride Crow or public land, or is it ROV only? Is Crow, is that you, Chad? Is that a place you guys ride? I don't know what that is.
Well, that's my boy Piston Broke again. He's up there in Canada, so they have the Queensland and a lot of public land to ride. And I will say that we do not have public land. There's a little bit of Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky. Out further west, Bureau of Land Management has public land that you can ride on as far as the states go. I don't know if you have any, Chris, in Wisconsin, as far as like public land, national forest, or anything that you're allowed to ride ATVs and side-by-sides on. I know upstate New York is where I'm actually from. They allow a lot of snowmobiling, but they don't allow ATVs and side-by-sides out there. So it's sporadic and it varies by state. To answer your question, Piston Broke, down here in the States, it's sporadic and it varies. Out west, there's a lot more public land. In the east, it kind of depends on the state.
Yeah, so here in Wisconsin, it's actually almost all public lands. There's only, off the top of my head, so don't hold me to this, like 4 parks, I want to say, in the entire state. Otherwise, they're all public ATV trails. Now, you have to stay on the trail, right? You can't just, like, say, hey, I want to go that way and take off into the woods. There are trails, but a lot of those trails are anywhere from 10 to 20 miles all the way up to, some have, I think one has 400 miles, and then there's a lot of 100, 250 miles in between, so... there's definitely a lot of trails, but they are almost all public land, and that's why I always get a little thrown off when I go to other states like Kentucky, Pennsylvania, all that is that different park style. And not that they're bad, it's just different, right? So it's a little different concept depending on what part of the country you're in, obviously.
Yeah, we have some in the National Forest, I know in the Daniel Boone, but it's all restricted to 50-inch. And side-by-sides are becoming the king of the day, which I think we should talk about next, the whole side-by-side versus ATV thing, and answer the question of this is a question I need answered for my personal edification, is are side-by-sides killing ATVs? And I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
First of all, give me 5 minutes to go Google edification, and we'll get this going. Big words, guys. Chad's using the big words. I got to end it there and go ahead and look up some words, and we'll continue this next week. Oh, man. I was just talking to Side by Side Dirt. If you don't know who he is, he does a podcast. Great guy. I'll talk more about him in a few minutes, but we were jokingly arguing. In fact, we have a video coming out called Side by Sides versus ATVs, and it's more of a joke meant to show the differences between the two types of machines for those that are kind of trying to decide what they want to do. My personal opinion, unfortunately, sort of unfortunately, is I do believe that side-by-sides are starting to take the market, unfortunately. And I say that loosely because, one, I love side-by-sides. I absolutely love side-by-sides. But I'm worried that the demand for ATVs is starting to decline while side-by-sides increases. So I was watching a different video, and they mentioned, this is from a company on a video we have coming out. I don't want to get too much into it, but they said, so I have not actually looked the statistic up, that 250, it's like I don't remember what it is. Basically, a third more side-by-sides are being sold over ATVs. So the market is drastically higher for side-by-sides right now versus ATVs. And I'm okay with that because they're great, but at the same time, I don't want to see ATVs go anywhere because I think they're phenomenal and I love riding them. So that's kind of my quick roundabout opinion. What is your thoughts?
Yes. So we have done similar research. I have found similar numbers. This is something that I have researched at length because that's what I do. I don't really have a lot of other hobbies other than ATV and side-by-sides and making videos. Yes, you're absolutely right. The market for side-by-sides is much bigger, but included in those numbers are things like Kubotas, John Deere's, things that I wouldn't say necessarily compete with side-by-sides at all. This is why on my channel I'm so adamant that people support companies like Polaris and Can-Am that are pushing the market on ATVs, because I understand that people don't think that they are as reliable as your Hondas and your Yamahas and things like that, but it drives me crazy when people say I want to see an 850 Yamaha, but I'm going to hang out in that mid-size market until Yamaha makes an 850. Because I try to preach, upgrade to the 850, whether it's Can-Am or Polaris, and tell Yamaha, speak with your dollars, that if you want an 850, you're not going to buy another Yamaha, regardless of your resolve to stay loyal to a brand, until they build you what you want. And I think that that's what it's gonna take. I hope, beyond all hope, that side-by-sides aren't killing ATVs, definitely ripping into the market. But when you look regionally at sales, the further south you go, ATVs do a little bit better. And then the further north you go, ATVs do a little bit better. So what that means for us is we see the influx of side-by-sides in the Central America area because the riding is kind of conducive to side-by-sides. And up there in Canada, they're ripping through skegs on overbuilt Can-Ams, which is awesome. And down south, I'm rocking my Menard Rebel Rider shirt. The Deep South, Swamp Ass, and the Caucasian, and those guys, they're doing awesome things in the mud down there. So I think that's really what's keeping the ATVs going. I think they're a compliment, truly. As much as side-by-sides tear up the trails for us ATV loyalists, I think they're a good complement to each other. And what's important is that the industry as a whole is growing. So, I'm loyal to the side or to the ATVs, but it's anybody who's getting outdoors and getting off road and creating demand for more places to ride and more machines is a good thing.
That's really well put. I can't argue any of that. I'm totally on board with everything you just said. That is very well put. And two things to note on that as well, one of which I already forgot. But so tearing up the trails, you're right. They do tear up the trails more. But I know that makes a lot of people mad. I actually really love when side-by-sides tear up the trails because I like that more technical
off-cambered stuff.
Yeah. So if you're in side-by-sides, by all means drive in front of me and rip it up because I love it when you start to get those trails just as I hate groomed trails. Well, I don't hate them. That's harsh. But I very much like ungroomed trails as much as possible. So
hey, Flying Brian says that somebody has to carry the cooler. He's absolutely right. Every ATV rider needs a side-by-side guy in the group because you need food and you need beverage.
That is very well put, Brian. A great point. Thanks for bringing that up. I agree. And the second thing I was going to mention on that is you mentioned Yamahas and the loyalists and all that. I know there's a lot of people out there, and I've actually been arguing this a ton lately, almost to the point of exhaustion, because if you've seen some of our reviews on like that CF Moto we did a review on, we've got another CF Moto, that's not mine, by the way, but we've reviewed it, right? We've got another one that we've reviewed. So we've been doing a lot of...
The one you put the plow on.
Yes, yep, exactly, thank you. The one we put the plow on, that one actually is ours, and we've gotten a lot of just exhausting comments in regards to why would you buy that piece of crap, versus a lot of people that are like, oh, they're great machines. That constant back and forth, that does exist with any brand, absolutely. But there's a lot of brand loyalists that are like, oh, I wouldn't switch from my Can-Am or my Polaris. And I get it, I understand. Personally, I'm more of a, I'll ride whatever, I guess, one, tickles my fancy at that moment in time, and two, I try and ride as many different machines as possible just so that I can get to know as many machines as possible. So that U-Force that we just put that plow on, I'd love to build that out in the next 12 months, throw it out the door, sell it to somebody else, get a totally different machine, CF Moto or not, I don't really care, just something different, and then kind of do the same thing, right? Because you get to do all those different machines. So, you know, brand loyalty is great and all, but my fear with brand loyalty is people, they kind of mask them, right? So you sometimes don't see the bad in that brand that you love so much just because that's your brand. So
yeah, that's absolutely true. And I mean, in my younger, wilder days, I fell victim to brand loyalty. I was a Yamaha guy. I thought Yamaha just was the end all be all. And when I had enough money to get four wheelers again, and I got a Grizzly, I had some problems with it. I got the 2016 model, and it needed a new starter spring, needed a servo. It started smoking really bad because it was one of the first 2016 Grizzly 700s that came out. And I've talked about this at length, you know, on my channel, so I won't beat it to death here. But all brands have their things. If you watch, I know one of your favorite channels, one of my favorite channels is the Han Dude. I know he couldn't be here tonight, but we'll forgive him for that. Han Dude has broken all four axles on his Rubicon. So there's this myth of Honda being the tank, that they're not. Honda is great. Honda is great, but even tanks break down. And we were out a couple weeks ago with a brand new Honda Rubicon, and the EPS went out, and it made it completely unrideable. So I'm not saying Honda is bad. I'm just saying that you're going to have things go in all of your machines. The clutch went bad in my Sportsman at 18 hours. It got fixed under warranty. I haven't had an issue since. Anything can go wrong, you know, in any brand. So to say that one is more reliable than the other is kind of fooling yourself, because reliability has a lot to do with how you take care of your machine, the kind of riding you do, and then the maintenance and the hours that you put into it. I think personally.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Absolutely. In fact, and I've had a lot of people. I'm going to read this comment too real quick because I think this is a great comment. Dirty Rice Off-Road says, be brand agnostic and support everybody in the industry. Absolutely. Absolutely. Support them all across the board. Everyone's going to have their preference. But I'll say two things. One, my preference personally changes all the time. I mean, right now, my favorite machine I've ever driven is that Scrambler. And 6 months from right now, I might be like, what's Scrambler? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Poor machine. I love you. I love you. But my point is, like, just because I have an awesome Scrambler now doesn't mean if a Can-Am comes along, I'm going to be like, screw Can-Am, I got a Scrambler. No, I might, you know, sweet, look at that Can-Am. Maybe that's the next machine I want. So absolutely support them all. And the last thing I want to mention on this is we've done the CF Moto stuff for about a year. We've been trying to include it because there's not a lot of it out there. Kind of, you know, it's just another brand that we want to inform people about. That Scrambler back there has had more problems than any CF Moto I've ever driven. I'm just throwing that out there right now, and I'm not supporting CF Moto. We're not paid by CF Moto. The point is every machine has their problems, right? And I love that Scrambler. It's a fantastic machine. But like Chad said, every brand has their issues. All vehicles, you know, it is what it is. And especially, you could say maybe it's because I ride that Scrambler harder, and maybe that's the truth. But at the end of the day, you know, I think that comment is perfect, and that's to be brand agnostic and support everyone.
And then Flying Brian had to throw Alteras are awesome in there because he knows that I am no fan of Alteras. I don't rip any ATV, but let me just tell you, the 500 class Alteras from Textron, I've ridden them, and I'm sorry, I really don't like to rip anything, but those are garbage comparatively to other price points. Brian, you wanted a reaction. You got it, buddy. That's all I'll say. Okay, so let me elaborate a little bit. I want Textron. Textron came out with the XX. They involved Robbie Gordon. They wanted to do great things, and they completely ignored their ATV brand, the Arctic Cat ATV brand that they brought in there. They killed a lot of the TRVs. They took out They took out the TRV thousands. I think they took out the Mud Pro. Correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of their bigger bore ATVs, they're phasing out. They're doing away with. They skimmed down their ATV line, and I really wanted to see Textron as a brand come in and put money into a high performance ATV that could go out there and compete with the Renegade and with the Scrambler. That's what I was hoping for. I think that would have been awesome. And then it was just kind of more of the same, unrefined. They just went with it. So I got a little perturbed. My nose got a little bent. I'll admit it.
I gotta say, not so much on the Altera specifically, but it's like you're freaking in my mind almost, because you said you've been following me since that Wildcat video I did when that first got announced, and I was super pumped. Hopefully I showed the video, but I was super pumped that Textron bought Arcticat, because I think that Arcticat was kind of falling in the hole a little. It needed someone to kind of revamp them and bring that brand back to what it had the potential to be, in my mind. Because I don't believe their ATVs are anything like their snowmobiles are, right? So I was really hoping for awesomeness, and I was super pumped about the Wildcat. It came out, it looked like a solid, awesome machine, and that was, what, like almost a year ago? Maybe actually exactly a year ago, and as of now, I'm less than impressed. And now they just announced, and I'm kind of giving away some of what we talk about in the next upcoming video, but they just announced recently they're sending it back to under the Arcticat brand, right? So I know Textron owns Arcticat, but they're sending it back to that brand, and it's just becoming like this, almost an embarrassment, to be quite honest.
It's a little bit of a backtrack, and now we do have love for the Double X. Too Fast Matt, he's on the Double X. He has had luck with it. If you've been the guys who've been following the channel for a while have known that we have absolutely put the Double X through its paces. Matt jumped it off a cliff, nosedived. He's busted it up and broken it. But yeah, I would have to agree that ultimately the Double X, although it has its advantages, it didn't meet expectations. I'll put it that way. So I think I do think that it's a great machine. Having ridden in Matt's, having driven it for a while and ridden passenger with him, I think it gets a little bit of a bad rap for being underpowered, because people need to I think manage their expectations for what a machine is, and when people are honest with themselves, they can really make an informed decision for the best machine for them. And that, I think, is what Matt did, and his expectations were put in check for what it was, and he's been really, really happy with it. He hasn't had any issues with it. But then, you see on the forums that some of the guys are having to check their axle plunge depth before they go out, or they're going to bust axles and they're going to have all kinds of issues. And I know Matt was telling me today we're going to do a video on it eventually of a heat shield that you needed, I think, between the exhaust and the bed of the truck, because it's melting. There's some things that just should have been a little more refined. But I think we should use that to segue into the Talon, because that's where I was going to try to go with the Honda loyalty, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were on the Honda Talon. And by segue, I mean, I was a loyalist. I got the first year Grizzly. This is the first year the Talons come out. The first year the Double X came out, it was a little bit of a letdown for some people, especially, we'll throw it out there, the guys watching the side-by-side blog drag races. If you thought the Double X was going to come out and beat turbos in a drag race, then you were out of your mind. First and foremost, it's set up for off-roading, like fast suspension. It's great over whoops. But how do you think the Talon R and X are going to be fielded? How do you think they're going to be received, and how do you think they're going to perform?
So let me just start off by saying, well, I should backtrack first of all, because I don't dislike the Wildcat, so I hope nobody got that impression. I've been disappointed. What I thought it was going to be and where it's become has been a little bit of a disappointment to me, to be honest. And as for the Honda Talon, so I was super excited about this announcement. I mean, like, legitimately super pumped when I heard that they were coming out with it. And I know a lot of people have said bad things about the body. I think that thing is just freaking sexy. In all honesty, I think it is a sexy side-by-side. The back end's a little funky. Like, I don't know how you feel about the whole open back end thing. That's a little weird to me. But, uh-oh. I think we just got lost.
I think we might have...
Uh-oh.
I think we might have lost him.
Let me see here. Hold on here. That's no good. Oh, no. Let me see what I can do to get it back. Yeah, it says my internet just cut out again. Let me see if I can fix this. Okay, hold on. I will be right back. Well, that is not good, and I think I might have actually lost some power. No, I got lights in here. It says my internet's totally shut down, so I'm trying to reboot the whole thing right now. It can't be, though, because we're talking to each other.
Yeah. Our connection is...
Seems good. Fine, right?
Yeah. Oh, now it says poor connection.
On our actual feed, it does?
On our Skype feed. And
yeah,
video's back now too.
All right, it says we're back, but I actually
DRAM says y'all back.
All right, I don't actually have Dirt Obsession at the time, Chad. I guess I'll hold it for a minute. I don't know if you're there or not. So
yeah, I can hear you if you can hear me.
Yep, there you go. I got you back. All right, good. All right, so I'll keep talking here for a minute, guys. We'll see what happens. We probably will end this live stream soon. We're coming up close to an hour, and with the bad internet issues we're having, I think I lost it again. Boy, I don't know what's going on here. All right, I'm going to try to talk through it for a minute. I think it's kind of coming and going, and then if it doesn't come back, gentlemen, then we are going to cut the live stream. I apologize for the technical issues. Looks like audio is good, but maybe the video is just choppy, so we'll give it a second to see if it catches up from some of the settings I just made, and we'll go from there. So I apologize. We'll push through it for about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. If it doesn't come back, then we're going to go ahead and end the live stream. So with that, we were talking about the Honda Talon, and I'm super excited about it. Super excited. Hey, Dirty Rice Off-Road, don't worry about it. It comes with the territory. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It does stress me out, though, to be honest, because I want these streams to go well and do good. And I know how it is when you watch choppy videos. It just makes you want to freaking close them, and you just get annoyed, right? So I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll just only get better from here on out. But anyway, Talon. So the Honda Talon, I'm super pumped about it, and this is coming from someone that has not yet been in it, because I've only seen it, I've read about it, all that, but we haven't had the chance to review it yet. So Honda, looking at you for a test ride. But I think it has a ton of potential. Now, I will say I was a little bit disappointed with the price range, $20,000 and $21,000. I was hoping for their first year and what they're giving out to the community, I was hoping for a little bit lower price, especially because you've already got so many people with the Razors that have, you've already got so many side-by-sides out there that are already well-liked and loved by the community, that to just come out, release it for $20,000, $21,000, I just kind of back and forth on it a little bit. I think I would have liked to have seen it a little bit lower, but it does look like an awesome machine. I mean, it looks like an awesome machine. I'm super excited to hopefully get our hands on it and watch some of the stuff that other people do to it. I think it holds a lot of potential as we kind of, I guess, wait to see what happens and how it rides over the next couple of months or so. How about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited for it, and one of the points I was going to make is that I'm a little bit, reserved to go for the first model year of any new machine, especially something that's completely new or been redesigned, because of the issue I had with the Grizzly, because of the issue that even the Sportsman had when it first came out with the pinion plates and the clutch issue. Sometimes your first model year has some kinks to work out. The Wildcat XX is the same thing. I don't have that reservation about Honda. I feel like if there is a company that is going to put into R&D and try to maintain their reputation, I think that Honda, they're going with the Pioneer engine. I think they've had this sport side-by-side in the works for a while. I think it's going to be pretty well refined when it comes out. I'm super excited to see it. I know we're gonna be able to get our hands on one relatively quickly. One of our buddy has one on order, so that's pretty exciting. Piston Broke said the biggest concern with the Talon is the trans. It being launched with a small 28-inch tires tells me that high gear ratio in the trans bad for guys up here. Yeah, so what Piston Broke is saying is that when you put heavier tires on it, you might need to do some sort of clutch kit. That's probably going to be true. Team Wax, hey, good of you guys to show up. Team Wax Off-Road. There's some local boys here in Kentucky, too. Love you guys. Hope people are subscribing. And he said some dealers are releasing their price point at $17.99 for the X. That's the cheaper of the two. The R is $29. So, yeah, it looks like $17.9, the price point is relatively close. Honda anything is more expensive comparatively. Their ATVs are more expensive, even though they haven't put much into R&D on them. So yeah, I, like you, was a little bit disappointed in the price point. I thought that it should come out trying to compete a little bit better with the YXZ. I think the YXZ is its #1 competition. And the YXZ is definitely priced cheaper. I saw one at the local dealer. It was a 16 model that they still hadn't got cleared out for $11,200, brand new off the floor.
Holy cow!
So yeah. So yeah, and Yamaha YXZ still has tons of issues. Those would be the reservations I have about the Talon, the issues that Yamaha had. But I'm very, very excited to see Honda throw their hat in the ring, and I'd love to see a new ATV from them too.
Yeah, I would as well. Two things. D-Ram says it should have been in the 15K range. Yeah, I kind of agree. I guess I expected it to be around 17. Personally, just off of what was on it, in hopes too that they knew that they have to prove themselves, right? They do not have a sport side by side. So in my mind, you have to prove yourself before you start playing with the big boys. And don't get me wrong, I know Honda's a big boy, and it's not a personal attack. Again, I'm unbiased. I try to be. I think Hondas are phenomenal machines. I would own a Honda any day without reserve, but they have not proven themselves in the sports side-by-side world, bottom line. So you can say whatever else you want about them, but it's a whole new territory. So you got to kind of start out like you're new. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, the DCT's been a little bit vetted in the Africa Twin, but that's a motorcycle. You know what I mean? It's not putting down to a doubled axle heavy side-by-side. I expected them to be north of 23, to be totally honest with you. I thought their price point was just going to be high. I had made a few comments about that on some videos. I expected them to be north of 23, and a non-turboed machine north of 23 that was unvetted, like you say. I thought that was going to be a little ridiculous. So Tis what it is. I think it's hard to give a firm opinion when you haven't seen something perform on the trails. And like you say, it's got to compete with the big boys. Lots of machines out there are well established at this point. To that point, Jamie Cursoli asked about 2020. Will we see Kawasaki enter the ring? To that, I would say probably. I think we will, because recently I heard that there is been a patent placed by Kawasaki on a sports side-by-side frame. And if you've been following Kawasaki for a while, like I have, I own a Vulcan Vaquero right now. So I follow Kawasaki, especially in the ATV bikes and stuff, and especially in their motorcycles. They are a company that likes to allow somebody else to test the waters, and then they'll throw their hat in. So with Honda entering the ring with the Talon, I expect to see Kawasaki coming in too. They can't deny that sport side-by-sides are a huge part of the market. and they're clearing out some carbon emission space by getting rid of their the KLR and some of the older bikes that have kind of been around for a while. So I do expect to see something from Kawasaki in the near future. Maybe not 2020, but in the next 2-3 years, I think we'll definitely see something sporty from Kawasaki, because the Teryx has a great following.
So So first off, there's no denying the Teryx definitely has a great following. Although I will say it's a very niche following, if you will, or it's a very small but trusting following, right? So I agree with everything you said. I would love to see Kawasaki come out with a side by side. Partially, quite frankly, honestly, I think that Kawasaki's been lacking in the whole off-road market in the last few years. It's kind of not that I don't think they've created bad machines per se. I just think that it's kind of been like, oh, it's 2019, there's the same thing. Oh, it's 2020, there's the same thing. You know, so it would be nice to see some good R&D or just something new, something refreshing with them, for sure. And because because I love the competition, right? I'm all about, like, some people are like, no, it's all about Polaris, or no, it's all about Yamaha. I'm like, no, it's all about as many of these machines as we can get so that we can choose which ones the best machines are. We're not stuck between the Razor and the Maverick, which are both great, but when they're the only two options out there, and Polaris charges you $30,000 and Can-Am's coming on and doing the same thing now, I mean, that's great. They're awesome machines, but they're also super expensive. And personally, I'm not going to go buy a Turbo S because it's $30,000. I think it's phenomenal. I'm just not going to go spend $30,000 because I guess I don't have the money for it. Let's go with that.
Yeah. So to that point, Piston Broke, buddy, you just brought up a great point. The new Robbie Gordon speed side by side, the Wildcat 4-seater XX, starting at $45,000. He says that's 60 Canadian. What are your thoughts? People are out of their minds. I don't know what Textron's doing. Having Robbie Gordon involved was a great sales pitch on the front end. Now they're kind of cornering the market. You can't get good aftermarket support for the XX because of this speed side-by-side, Robbie Gordon's company a little bit. Sorry for putting that out there, but a $45,000 side-by-side. Shoot, buddy, my freaking brand new truck didn't cost that much.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think that's absolutely insane. I mean, I won't even... I can't say I won't even test it because I would definitely test it out absolutely 100%, but I cannot imagine spending $45,000. Do you realize you could buy two brand new cars for under $45,000? Full car, heated seats, leather interior. Like, I get it, it's off-road, it's got some sweet suspension, this and that, but there's got to be a limit. And my fear is, and I'm going to touch on this too while we're talking about that kind of price, my fear with this is if we keep driving up the market is off-roading will all of a sudden only be for the rich. All right? And that's a really terrible, terrible thing, especially when a large amount of the market isn't, if we're off-roading right now, is not a bunch of rich, snobby dudes from New York City, right? So I think that they got to be careful how much they tread on this water, and I think the Razor Turbo S is a great example. Fantastic machine. Absolutely love the Razor Turbo S. Most people cannot afford to go spend $30,000 on the Turbo S. So I think we're starting to see more and more of that. And $45,000, like, that's mind blowing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
So
about
I think Polaris gets it. They're offering that. Well, before I finish that point about the new Velocity, Mark Minyard, hey buddy, Mark is from the Menard Rebel Riders. I am repping them in my T-shirt because I won the giveaway at 300 subs. Thanks for being here, buddy. Truly appreciate it. That is the Menard Rebel Riders. Mark's wife Carol does those videos, and they're awesome. They ride with Swamp Ass, the Caucasian, those boys. But what I was going to say is the new Velocity S from Polaris, I think, is them kind of taking back on their own kind of market explosion they sort of created with this $30,000 side-by-side, and they took the ride command out, they took the dynamic suspension out. You can now get an S with Walker Evans shocks, no ride command for $25 here in the States, and everybody knows that what that means for a Polaris is that you can probably get it south of 23 because nobody pays full price for a Polaris in the States, right? I mean, they've got the rebates going all the time. So those are good things, but I don't think that a $45,000 side-by-side is going to sell anywhere because I think that's just crazy. I don't really know what it's for. It's almost more of a showpiece for the people who have it. They're not going to want to go beat the crap out of it, and that's what this sport is for. This sport is so you have something that you can beat the crap out of, put it back in your garage, wrench on it for a couple weeks, and then go do it again. And I just don't see people doing that with a $45,000 side-by-side.
No, I mean, you have to be out of your mind rich, in my mind, to spend 45 grand on a machine that you're going to take out and then just tear up on trails, right? Well, maybe people say that about, a lot less expensive machine. And back to your point, I think the velocity, that is we have a video coming out in a week or two on that, just in some impressions and this and that. But I'm glad that Polaris brought that to the market. And one thing Polaris has done that I really appreciate is they still have, while again, the Turbo S, super expensive machine, but they still have some of their lower end side-by-sides, right? You can just get a basic Polaris Razor 570. If you're like, I want a side-by-side, I don't need this massive, insane machine, I can just go get a Razor 570 that I get to enjoy with the family or take on the trail, and I can still get the cooler on it, and you can still have fun, right? You can still have five.
Sure. Or a 900S for about 12 grand, and a 900S is a great starter side-by-side that you can get in for well south of 15K. So to see companies that don't, because we're talking about Textron, and Textron doesn't have that option now, right? So they don't have that lower cost option. They've got the XX, and now they've got that $45,000 Robbie Gordon edition 4-seater. But that's why I think Polaris takes the pulse of the market really well. Same with Can-Am. Polaris and Can-Am are essentially synonymous with every point I've ever made about the side-by-side industry, because they truly try to parallel each other. A little bit higher price point at Can-Am, but anything I ever say about Polaris, I think, is also true about Can-Am. So I think they're going to be the industry standard. I hope into the future that they're going to be the industry standard.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And on that as well, I totally lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Can-Am players. Yeah, so I think that's one of the reasons that those two guys they're kind of the top of the market, right? They're the two big, in my mind anyway, they're the two big power brands that every other brand is basically wanting to become. At the time of this video, they're really the two biggest dogs in my mind. How about that? Not that Honda's not great, not that Yamaha's not great, not that Kawasaki's not great, but they're kind of like the meat of the market. And I think part of the reason that they're doing a great job isn't necessarily because they have the 1000s and the Turbo S's and the Maverick X3 4-seater limo, right? Like, those are great machines, and you see a lot on them, because there's also that fantasy, right? Like, in the back of all of our minds, we're like, man, I want to own that sweet piece of, there's that whole aspect. So you see a lot of that, but I think they gain a lot of that brand loyalty we were talking about earlier, because people can afford the 570 or even the 900 or the standard Polaris Sportsman 500. I mean, they have such a wide array, and I think that some of the other companies could learn from those huge lineups that those two companies have.
I agree. They're approachable, and if we're being honest with each other, that 500 range, 500cc, that's really the sweet spot for ATVs. I kind of laugh when I see people talk about, I want to see somebody build a 1300cc freaking ATV. It's like, dude, you've never been on a Scrambler or a Sportsman that is 90 horsepower and just absolutely open that thing up, because I'm telling you, you would think that 90 horsepower is enough had you done that, because those things will rip way faster than anybody should ever be going through either a mud hole or the trails in the woods.
I totally agree with you. Absolutely. And two, that's the entry, that's more the entry level market, right? If you don't have some of these basic, less expensive 500s, either ATVs or maybe even an 800 side-by-side, it's harder to get people into your brand, because a lot of people are not going to go out and buy the Wildcat XX as their first side-by-side. Bottom line, you might have some, but that's not going to be your majority. They're going to go down the road to Polaris and spend $12,000 on their first side-by-side to figure out if they truly want to make this their lifestyle or their hobby.
Yeah, and they're going to be nervous because all their friends are going to say it's going to be unreliable. But let me tell you, I see so many 800Ss out there ripping up the trails, fully capable machines. So Polaris has figured out something for reliability.
Absolutely. And just to hit a couple comments here as well, Someone had mentioned that they use the Honda Pioneer as their recovery machine. Honda Pioneer, love it. Absolutely love it. So don't think that because we were kind of talking that this is the Talon, right, is their entry level or their way into the market. That's for the sports side-by-side. If they can do, and I actually said this in a previous video, if they can do what they've done, if they can do with the Honda Talon what they did with the Honda Pioneer, like they are gonna be a force to be reckoned with in the side-by-side, the sports side-by-side world.
Absolutely. Hey, another shout out to give. Broke Necks just joined the feed. Super cool. Broke Necks out of Alaska. Love those guys' videos. Love those guys. Look, I love ATV and side-by-side videos, but with Broke Necks, you get Alaska scenery, and that is absolutely fantastic. Their videos are gorgeous. They're jaw-dropping, some of them. Absolutely crazy. So Broke Necks, hey, thank you so much for being here and supporting both of us. Proud subscriber of your channel for sure.
I am also a subscriber of Broke Necks. Thanks a lot for being here, man. And not only do you get his nice scenery, you also get all his dad jokes. And if you're a dad like me, you appreciate those cheesy dad jokes. That probably happens too much on this channel as well. So thank you, Broke Necks, for being here. Definitely has some great videos to watch if you have not been following him before. All right, you know what? We're coming up, guys. We are at about an hour. We managed to push through. The stream is working. We're over an hour. So, Dirt ObseXXion, Chad, I'm going to go ahead and I think we're going to go ahead and end this here. There was actually a few more things I wanted to talk about, but I just kind of want to keep it around that hour and kick it off on a good note while the internet is still working. So, guys,
we will have to do it again, my friend. This has been a blast.
We absolutely will. Guys, let me just say, again, Dirt ObseXXion. This is Chad with Dirt ObseXXion. If you're not following him, we're going to end this stream. Go hit that subscribe button. Check out some of his videos. For sure, the latest on the Scrambler versus Sportsman. Currently, I think that's one of the best videos on the two machines out on the market right now. Hilarious. Go check it out. So, Chad, thanks a lot for being here, man. I truly appreciate your time and coming on the live stream. You're definitely an awesome guy to talk to. To everybody else, thanks a lot for being patient with the live stream tonight. We truly appreciate it. As always, subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you on the trail.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.